So what is this income protection is that where you can set aside your corpus with various insurance companies and they assure you to give regular income like a pension throughout the life. Throughout the life. This is what is income protection. Okay. Properly they are also known as annuity plans or pension plans.
People are querying whether health insurance and medical insurance are the same.
Yes, there is a query about health and medical insurance. These are used interchangeable. You can say health and medical insurance is the same. So these are the insurances every caregiver and parent should look into it. So you may have to discuss with your financial advisor to know more about this and then ask him to recommend you the appropriate plan depending upon your needs. And then finally, we have at the end is estate planning. So already there was a question about estate planning. What is estate planning? So when we say estate, generally people think that we are talking about real estate or some other coffee estate. No. English is a funny language. The meaning of word will change depending upon the context in which it is used. So when we say estate, here it refers to the assets owned by the person. All kind of assets owned by the person. It could be movable or immovable assets. It could be financial assets like your savings bank, FDs, mutual funds, even investment-based insurance plans, equities, bonds, debentures. All these are all financial assets. It could be movable assets like real estate, land, buildings, or even it could be movable assets like gold and other precious metals. All these assets have a value. Many of times we have seen that without any adequate financial planning or proper financial planning, people just acquire these assets without looking into it. What are the features of these assets? How these assets are going to be useful and helpful to them in achieving their financial goals? We don't look at the goals when we invest, and we keep accumulating this. Then the challenge comes management of this estate during one's life period, and then after the life period, who owns this estate or assets? Every asset is owned by a person, right? So today I own a real estate, I have investments in bonds, insurance, mutual funds. I have a control authority in managing this estate. I have an abilities, I have a good health, both mentally and physically. I have a knowledge, I am managing all this estate. But during my lifetime, if I become incapacitated to manage my estate, maybe due to any reasons, health reasons, could be cancer, could be any other reason, then who will manage my assets? Who will manage my estate? So this is one part. Second part is after my life, who owns these assets? How the ownership of the assets are transferred or transmitted to the other person of the family? What is the process that is to be followed? What are the complexities that arises? So all these issues are addressed, and this process we call it as estate planning. So estate planning, in a simple words, it deals with the management of one's estate during one's lifetime, and also transmission of this estate to the family members after his lifetime. So transmission of estate is not automatic to the family members. There are so many complications or complexities arises when a person dies leaving all his estate. This is what is about estate planning. And this estate planning is necessary for every family, but it becomes more important for a person with special needs. Again, in estate planning, we use different tools and instruments in doing this plan depending upon the needs of the family. So what are the factors or the instruments we look at estate planning is, one is durable power of attorney. Then we have trust, will, and guardianship. Each one of these we take now in a simple terms. First is durable power of attorney. We all might be understood about what is power of attorney. I appoint a person to take certain decisions on behalf of me, to do certain acts on behalf of me, and I give powers to him to take these decisions. So whatever decisions taken within the authority I have given to him, I ratify this authority by giving this power of attorney. But in normal cases, on the death of the donor of the power, this power of attorney also dies. It is not effective. If I have given a power of attorney to Dr. Sivakumar, after my death, he cannot take any decisions on my behalf. It dies along with me. This is what is in normal cases general power of attorney. But a durable power of attorney will continue to have authority even after the death of the person. This durable power of attorney is required to be executed by caregivers or parents who have a special needs person. You may have to appoint a person or a family member to take decisions on your behalf when you are away from around the special child, because you have your own ways of engaging your business, profession, whatever it is. Always you may not be there around the child to take care of the needs of the child always. So in your absence, someone should take decisions on behalf of the child. So we can appoint a person by giving a power of attorney. Or anytime this authority can be withdrawn when you don't want to continue to this attorney to be managed. Next estate planning tool we have is trust. It's a very important planning tool for the parents with special needs. It answers so many questions or worries parents or caregivers have. So what is this trust? Trust is an arrangement whereby you transfer some of your estate or assets in the name of the trust, and you appoint certain persons on whom you have a trust to manage these assets which you have transferred and provide the benefits of the assets which are transferred to the trust for the benefit of your special child, for the welfare of your special child. So this is what we call, in brief, it is a trust. Now to make it understand in another way, let me take an example. Let us say there is a company. A company requires financial resources to start the business. These resources are provided by the large number of people, or significant number of people whom we call shareholders. Okay. So the shareholders put their money in the name of the company, and the company is expected to use this money in generating the revenues in the business and then provide the profits back to the shareholders by way of dividends. But shareholders does not manage the money, manage the business, I'm sorry. Shareholders does not manage the business. Business is managed by a board, or what we call board of directors. Again, this board of directors are elected by the shareholders. Similarly, a person who creates a trust, he is like a shareholder in a company. He transfers the assets in the name of the trust. He appoints a board. Here we don't call board of directors, we call them as a board of trustees. And these trustees are expected to manage the assets of the trust in a judicious way. And whatever returns are generated or income is generated out of these trust assets, this income must be applied for the welfare of the special child. So what is the benefit of this trust is that even beyond the life of the parents, the trust will continue because it is an entity created under the provisions of law. There is no death for the trust. So it will continue. Even the trust will be useful when the parents or caregivers have become old, they are not themselves able to manage their own assets. Instead of giving all your money to your family member or known person to manage, absolutely giving them the authority, you only give them the authority to manage, not the ownership. So the ownership of the assets is held in the name of the trust. And whatever assets held by the trust, whatever income earned by the trust belongs only to the beneficiary. So in this case, the beneficiary will be your special person or a child, or can be yourself. And this is a legal facility we can make. This management of trust is governed under the Indian Trust Act. It is legal. So this is one of the way we can address the concern of the parents, first, who doesn't have enough resources. Create a trust in the name of the special child, then try to seek support from the government and other NGOs and other entities who are engaged in the welfare of the child. Could be your relatives, family members, friends, colleagues, employers. So when you seek the financial support, the money is not coming into your personal account, money is going into the account of the trust. In fact, that gives a trust to the donors to support financially. because it gives them the confidence that the money is managed judiciously. So by this way, at least you can create some financial support to the special child. On the other hand, parents have a sufficient income. The question comes to them: whom shall hand over these assets, which is set aside for the benefit of the child? One alternative is that you leave all these assets in the hands of the other family member, but we are not sure whether they use this judicially. The other family member also is a human being. Such member also may die or become disabled before the death of the special needs person. In such case, who will take care of the needs? Who becomes the owner of that estate? All these issues arises. So the ideal approach here is to have a trust in the name of the special needs person. And then guardianship. We are aware that till the person is minor, parents are the natural guardians. In the case of special needs person, when the child becomes a major, even parents have to obtain the guardianship from the government and other agencies. And if these parents are not there, who will become the guardian of the special child? That is very, very important where the parents have to look into it. Or you can also give a power of attorney. That's where the power of attorney plays a role. You can appoint a guardian by making a power of attorney. You can give authority to that guardian, which is durable, which works even beyond the life of the parents. Another instrument which you look at estate planning is will. So will also is an instrument, a legal instrument or a document by which a person can transfer his assets or estate absolutely after his death to the other member of the family or any other person. Okay. So when you transfer the property by way of a will, on the death of the person, the beneficiary will inherit it absolutely. No other member will have a right on this property. This is what is about the will. So sometimes we may have to use in combination both will and trust. There are parents who would like to manage their estate on their own during their lifetime, but they want to have arrangement of trust only after their lifetime. But trust has to be created during their lifetime. But they don't want to be operative or effective during their lifetime. So how? One alternative is that you leave all these assets in the hands of the other family member, but we are not sure whether they use this judicially. The other family member also is a human being. Such member also may die or become disabled before the death of the special needs person. In such case, who will take care of the needs? Who becomes the owner of that estate? All these issues arises. So the ideal approach here is to have a trust in the name of the special needs person. And then guardianship. We are aware that till the person is minor, parents are the natural guardians. In the case of special needs person, when the child becomes a major, even parents have to obtain the guardianship from the government and other agencies. And if these parents are not there, who will become the guardian of the special child? That is very, very important where the parents have to look into it. Or you can also give a power of attorney. That's where the power of attorney plays a role. You can appoint a guardian by making a power of attorney. You can give authority to that guardian, which is durable, which works even beyond the life of the parents. Another instrument which you look at estate planning is will. So will also is an instrument, a legal instrument or a document by which a person can transfer his assets or estate absolutely after his death to the other member of the family or any other person. Okay. So when you transfer the property by way of a will, on the death of the person, the beneficiary will inherit it absolutely. No other member will have a right on this property. This is what is about the will. So sometimes we may have to use in combination both will and trust. There are parents who would like to manage their estate on their own during their lifetime, but they want to have arrangement of trust only after their lifetime. But trust has to be created during their lifetime. But they don't want to be operative or effective during their lifetime. So how to do that? By making a will, we can create a trust in the will itself that instead of transferring the property absolutely to the other family member, this property is transferred to the trust, which is set up for the welfare of the special person. So these are the tools we look at estate planning, which can offer financial support and protection throughout the life of the special child. So here we can take certain.
There is a query on how guardianship is different from power of attorney.
Right, sir. How guardianship is different from power of attorney? Power of attorney. Attorney is a person who is a representative and you are given certain powers. Such person can do only those acts which is specified in the document. He cannot do any other act on behalf of you which is outside the purview of this document. Right? I can give you power of attorney to manage the assets of the special person. I cannot do any other act beyond that. And now someone has to take the health care benefits, some signatures, entering into a contract on other matters. I cannot do because the authority is not given in the power of attorney. Right? Now, guardianship is nothing but replacing the parents on their death. Who takes the shoes of the parents? Who steps into the shoes of the parents? That is what we call guardianship.
Can I
Yeah,
intercede here? I think one important thing that you must remember is that under the new Rights of Persons with Disability Act, guardianship is also similar to power of attorney in the sense that it is given for a specific purpose, for a specific time only, to a specific person. Now, the difference between guardianship and a power of attorney is that in terms of the guardianship arrangement, though it is not yet set up under the RPWD in states, it's notified but it has not been set up formally. The National Trust, for example, requires accounts to be submitted every year within 3 months of the guardianship arrangement being given, and at the within 3 months of the close of the financial year, the guardian has to submit a list of assets and management. So there is the potential here for the state to overlook these or rather have an overview of these things. Whereas I think that in power of attorney, unless an audit arrangement is set up specifically, this would not be there. Under the new RPWD Act, some states have yet to detail this procedure of when these accounts are given, when they are, how often they are given. But it is likely that guardianship can be more overarching in one particular case. The RPWD Act allows the provision for what is called total support, where rather than what is called a limited guardianship over a number of activities or a number of functions can be given. So this is given on a case-by-case basis by the guardianship authority. It may also not be given initially, but on review of the guardianship arrangement, it may be given on the second or the third time that a guardianship arrangement is continued. So please keep this in mind when you are considering that.
Power of attorney is a restrictive power, whereas guardianship is a wider.
In fact, between these two, power of attorney and guardianship, power of attorney is for a restrictive purpose, which you can foresee. So guardianship is that it addresses the issue who is after the parents, who are there into their shoes after the life of the parents. So parents can appoint the guardian. Otherwise, we have to go to the law.
So there is a question that if property is given,
Yes, sir. What is the question?
They're trying to do something.
yeah, we will unmute and then take it directly.
More slides are there.
And there is many people also say that anyway our relative will take care. What is the need for writing a will or doing a trust? That is a common query which comes in people's mind. Here we need to be clear. We commonly face circumstances. Say for example, there is one son who has psychiatric disability and needs lifelong support. The parent has 3 more children also. So now here, if they have certain corpus of money, say about 1 crore, and they die without leaving a will, so all their money, it will be equally divided to all the 4 children. So it's about 25 lakhs, which may not have been the intention of the parents. They may have wanted that a line share of this money should go to the person who is depending on the other person for their livelihood needs. So it is better to specify all these things rather than leave it interstate, which can drag on for a very long time in courts. So this gives a lot of clarity. And the difference.
I think I repeat again, it was unmuted for some time. Trust can be created by anyone, need not be only parents. Okay, when the trust is created, the most important point here is that who will be the beneficiary. So in our discussions now, the beneficiary will be the special needs person or a child. Okay, anyone can create a trust for the benefit of the special needs person with a small corpus of few thousands of rupees, like 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever is possible. And subsequently, trust can receive the gifts from any entity in the society, and so that the trust can build up the corpus. So I hope I answered this question. Anyone can create the trust. Who is a major? Who is a major of sound mind? All those things applies.
I think there are questions from Ms. Akriti about the trust. Ms. Akriti, I know you have some questions about the trust. You can please unmute yourself. I think it's open now to unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself and ask the questions.
Thank you. Actually, we were wondering whether this trust is it common to say it's like an NGO, or is it like a separate private trust that is allocated for a specific purpose only?
Okay. A trust can be a charitable trust or it can be a private trust. Okay? When you are talking about trust here, it's a private trust, not a charitable or public trust.
Hello.
So when the beneficiary of the trust is very clearly specified,
Hello.
it
Can
is
I
a
ask a
private trust.
question? Suresh?
Hello.
Hello, I'll request that when one question is being asked, you please not unmute yourselves and let the question and be asked and the answer be given, and then we'll go on. I know there are questions, we'll take them up.
I hope, Akriti, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, next.
Thank you.
We have other questions.
Sir, I have. Hello, good evening. Can I ask you a question, please?
Hello. Can I ask a question, please?
Hello.
I'm Nirmala here.
Mr. Nirmal, ma'am, we'll come to you. Start with Mr. Nirmal and then come to Ms. Nirmala.
Yeah, good evening. It's a very
I'm
educative
Nirmala
session. I just wanted to check with you. Can an NRI be a guardian who's a sibling?
Sorry?
Can NRI be a guardian?
My son is handicapped. He's 42. His younger brother is 35. He's an NRI. Can I appoint him as guardian? Is there any-
Advisable to have NRI as a guardian for various reasons. One is you look at legal, other is other aspects. A guardian is expected to be there around the child to look into the needs of the child. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so if the guardian is NRI who finds it difficult to frequently come to India when the child needs it, it does not serve the purpose having a guardian.
But I don't have anybody else in my family to
Restrict-
appoint as guardian.
Which can be given to NRI, not all.
Sorry?
There are restrictive powers that can be given to NRI by law.
Okay.
NRI cannot have a blanket everything. The third issue is that when the NRI is a guardian and such person has to manage the financial affairs of the special child, such NRI also may have certain compliances and obligations in the respective countries to disclose about this financial interest.
Right.
Yeah, my colleague Mr. B. Srinivasan also will give a few highlights on it.
In the event, if you are looking for any sibling who is outside the country also to involve, it's better to make a trust and make him one of the trustees, because in a trust you can have a multiple trustees, unlike a guardian which can be only one.
Okay. Thank you very much.
The National Trust Act does not allow a person who is not a resident of the country to legally become a guardian. So if you are applying the National Trust Act for a person with mental retardation or autism or multiple disability, you are unlikely to get a legal guardianship.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Rights of Persons with Disability Act when the arrangement is there. I think Mr. Nirmal has a question. Madam,
Hello. Can I get it? Hello.
go ahead.
I'm Nirmala Srinivasan here. I have a couple of questions to Mr. Suresh. Can I hear you? Hello.
Please
Please go ahead. We are able to
Yes.
hear you.
Mr. Suresh, I have a couple of questions. One general question. What is the certification we should look for to identify a financial planner?
Yeah, one of the certification we can look into is certified financial planner,
Certified by?
Financial Planning Standards Board,
Can you repeat, please? Your voice is breaking.
certified financial planner.
Yes.
Okay, this certification is offered by Financial Planning Standards Board.
Okay.
Okay, every person who has got the certification has to undergo a rigorous study mode and clear the examinations, which is of international standards. Number two, the certification is valid only for 1 year. And such professionals should engage in upgrading their skills and knowledge and earn the continuous education points and renew their certificate every year.
So when you financial planner, do they have their own website? How do we access them? Should we do a Google search and find out?
You can do the Google search, certified financial planners in India.
Okay.
Okay. You also can come across the board, Financial Planning Standards Board. You can also go through the website.
Uh-huh.
This board offers the certification programs in around 28 countries.
Indian all
Okay.
plan.
Now, I have a request to the organizer, Dr. Shiv Kumar. If we can have the contacts of Mr. Suresh mailed to us after the program, I'll be much obliged. We would like to have how to contact him after the program.
Through Dr. Shiv Kumar, I will share the website of Financial Planning Standards Board.
Yes.
Go through this website. They have listed the financial planners who are certified and active practicing in India.
All planners.
It's a neutral across the country because people may be in different places.
Along with the names, I hope the contact details will also be present.
You can contact them. You can contact them. In case, after going through all these things, if you need any support, you can get back to us through Dr. Shiv Kumar. No problem. We will assist you.
A couple of questions more, please. One,
Yeah.
the other thing is, does a financial planner, how do they have do you have a degree in law, or how do they know about the various disability and mental health legislations? How do they come to know that?
The primary focus is in ensuring that whatever financial resources you have,
Yes.
these resources are applied or invested in such a manner that it is more productive and useful for the welfare of the child. They only manage the finances. They are not the legal professionals. Okay. But they have a capabilities to understand your needs.
Yeah. For example, sir, will the financial planner help in setting up a trust or identifying a guardian or things like that?
Yes.
Now, my fundamental question is probably your presentation was excellent, but probably more towards a child with disabilities.
Okay.
Some of us in the group deal with adults with psychiatric problems.
Correct.
Who have capacity for decision making or informed consent, which may occasionally fail them, or they may have continuous need for somebody else to make decisions, so with various capacities. Now, in such cases, the law has bestowed on all the disabled persons the free legal capacity, what they call the right to make legally binding decisions, failing which the disabled person asks for a limited guardian. As Dr. Deepak Jayarajan mentioned, only a limited period. So the first choice is that the disabled person is capable. With disabled person, I mean is an adult here, not a child. Disabled person is capable of, and especially mentally ill person, capable of informed consent and decision making. In such cases, sir, if there is a private trust, the trustees take over decision making completely. In other words, the trustees become the erstwhile plenary guardians under the Mental Health Care Act 1987. They become complete decision making that is substituted by the trustees. In other words, the beneficiary will have no right to, legally speaking, the beneficiary will have no right to express their own decisions or their own whatever needs they have, and to change the decisions of the trustee. Got it. So there is an inbuilt contradiction in the existing Trust Act with the existing provisions for the legal limited guardian, or the existing provision on free legal capacity for persons with disabilities, especially those with adults with mental illness.
Can I come back to you now?
Yes.
Yeah. So now your question is about the decision-making ability of the person and how the trustees can take over this decision and all.
Yes.
So when you create a trust, the role of a trustee is just to manage the assets which is in the custody of the trust. Beyond that, they cannot take any other decisions. Right?
Okay.
Beyond managing the asset in the name of the trust, trustees cannot take any other decisions on their own.
Yes, in the management, sorry for the interruption, but in the management of the trust itself, suppose the beneficiary has certain, is not happy with certain things, or this, let us say the beneficiary wants a loan for higher studies, or the beneficiary wants to get married and additional allowances per month, which is not provided in the trust. How do you make it? How do you ensure the rights of the beneficiaries within the framework of the trust and the trustees' rights?
I'll take up. It's going long. See, what trustees can do, what trustees cannot do, has to be specified in the trust deed.
Okay.
Okay. So when you create a trust deed, again, I am saying this. It cannot be generalized. We need to understand each and every situation, the needs of the special person, and we have to foresee what could be the needs in the future. That's what I said. What are the needs at the childhood stage, adult stage, and latter stage? And then capture all these needs in the trust deed, and then give the directions to the trustee what they should do.
Does the beneficiary have a legal veto power in trust, private trust? Does the beneficiary have the right to veto the decisions of the people?
Madam, I got your point. I'd like to say a few things here. One is that a trust is an inherently restrictional arrangement. That is the purpose of the trust.
Correct.
So second thing is that when a trust is formed, the person with disability is not given the management of the property. It is given to the trustee. So essentially, the trust actually holds that position. Can the person mount a legal challenge? I don't think we are in the position right now to perhaps answer that question. I do know that there are people who have challenged trusts, etc. But that's again a question for a lawyer on a different day, and it's a very specific to that particular trust arrangement. So it would become specific to the trust deed, how it is specified, what purpose is given, and is the trust managing to that purpose or not. So the person could challenge on that basis.
What is important is how you draft.
How you draft
the trust deed is very important.
That is what I want to know. Suppose I, as a creator of the trust, can I write there saying that the beneficiary or my son has a right to question or veto the decision of the trustee? Is it allowed? I'm asking.
If he's capable of that, the question comes.
14 of RPWD Act, it is there. Whenever there is a conflict between the beneficiary and the trustees must.
That is about guardianship. That is about guardianship.
That is about guardianship. Yes, this is a matter we can look into.
It needs to be individually discussed, and I think that Deepak has made the stand a lot more clearer.
Yes.
So the individual client needs to take a call on whether trust is the appropriate arrangement.
This question came up only because of his excellent presentation, where he has put guardianship, trust, will, and power of attorney all in one frame. He has put them. So this question came up only because of that, and then I think we should work on it more later.
I think there are a few other questions also that we.
Hello. Hi, this is Sunil.
Hello.
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 Sunil has been waiting for some time. Mr. Sunil, you could go ahead.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Okay, thank you. I have two questions. One is, what does it cost to create and maintain a trust?
Okay. Next question.
And the second question is the guardianship. Does the guardianship has to be a person, or can it be a trust itself as a guardian?
Right. The first question is about the cost of creating a trust and managing the trust. There are two aspects. One is creation, other is management. Okay. So what is the process in creation of trust is that sitting with the professional who has expertise, not everyone who has expertise in creation of trust, where he has to do the counseling. Like Madam said, we need to understand what is the purpose, objective of creating a trust. What are the needs of the special person? As far as possible, you have to foresee all these requirements and capturing the trust deed. So counseling plays a very important role in determining what should be the content of the trust deed. Okay. Once we have this framework, then actually putting into words whatever is decided and create a document. Okay. So this work can be done by professionals who could be advocates, or there are other professionals today in the market who are known as chartered trust and estate planners. Okay. So I'm basically chartered trust and estate planner. Because of this qualification, I'm sitting with you today. Right. So we focus on in the counseling and understanding and created trust. I've done many trusts for the parents who are special children in Bangalore in different scenarios. I can take n number of examples where I myself have executed this trust deed. So this is a process I follow. Now coming back, this process, the cost, it all depends upon the person, what kind of skills and expertise he has. But generally, to put into a broad range, it could be around 20 to 30,000 rupees or upwards up to maximum 50K to create this trust deed and register it with the office of the sub-registrar. Okay, this is the first step. Once the document is registered, of course, when you create a trust deed, you have to give the name for the trust also. It is a mandatory. So once the document is registered, then on this basis, you can obtain a PAN from the income tax department in the name of the trust. So once you have a PAN in the name of the trust, then you are eligible to open a bank account in the name of the trust, because without PAN, you cannot open a bank account. Right? Now, whatever resources you have for the welfare of the special child will go to the trust account, which is in the name of the trust. Right? So it is insulated from any claims by any other family members. Now, coming to the management, you have substantial resources in the trust account, bank account. Now, how these resources to be managed? Let us say you have 25, 30, 50 lakhs in the trust account. It's just a lying in SB account does not help. That is where we talk about investments. The financial planner will play a role in analyzing what are the needs, the instruments that can be recommended among different asset classes, and see that your investments are managed effectively. And now the cost of managing the assets of the trust with the help of the financial planners, again, there are different levels. It can be a percentage of the corpus what you have. It can be a fixed fees per annum. Okay, you can have a interaction with it. It's not a big amount to manage. But I look into other way around. Let us say, for example, even if you may have to pay around 20, 25,000 rupees per annum as a fee, management fee to a advisor, good advisor. But by taking his professional expertise, the returns what you generate could be much more than what you would have paid him. Had you not taken this advice, there could be loss of more than 25K or much beyond that. So in that way, look into it.
And coming to your second question, sir, like a trust, an organization or a trust can also take up guardianship. So the guardian can be one person, it can be more than one people. It need not necessarily be a blood relative. So these are things which we have covered in some of our pamphlets. You please mail us, we'll be happy to share it.
In fact, just to add, in one of the case, parents doesn't have anyone to appoint as a trustees. There are so many other professionals where for the fee they act as a trustees. For example, in Bangalore, we advised Canara Bank as a trustees to 3 of my clients. So Canara Bank is a trustee. They also act as a trustee. They have separate department. Across the country, they operate. So Canara Bank will manage the corpus.
Ms. Rekha, I would ask you to unmute yourself and ask your question, because I think it's an important one. Can you please go ahead? Ms. Rekha? That's okay. Ms. Rekha, if you're not able to, I'll just read out the question.
Hello, sir. This is Rekha.
Go ahead.
Well, we are in UK and we are planning to set up power of attorney here. And I have a 5-year-old ASD son. And we were asked to mention like replacement attorneys and everything over there. But we were told that we cannot specify somebody like outside who are in UK, like they should be in UK. And we don't have any family members here to appoint like replacement attorneys. And they said that I can leave them blank. But thing is that it's a bit difficult because if, God forbid, if something happens to both of us, then there would be nobody to take care of my son. So we are a bit concerned, like how to go about it, sir. Like I'm not sure whom to contact. Like, can we set up something in India? We are still an Indian citizens, me and my son. So can we set up something in India? Like I'm not sure.
So you are at present in UK?
Yes, sir.
So do you have any plans to come back to India?
Not for now. We are permanent residents here, but we have an Indian passport.
Assets are where?
Where are your assets?
Currently in UK, sir, but we have assets in India as well.
You have to form 2 different trusts.
Okay, then you have to have a separate estate planning for the assets in UK as well as in India. There is no plan which works across the countries or globe.
Okay.
Now you are in UK. What kind of assets you have in India?
We have fixed deposits.
Okay.
On our name?
Any real estate?
No, sir. No real estate.
Only fixed deposits.
Yeah.
You can also repatriate these FDs and manage there in UK itself, unless you have any specific reason to invest in India, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we can put them back in UK, but how to go about, like, specifying trustees or replacement attorneys here, like
UK system. In UK.
The UK system is different.
There are professional institutions available even in UK, like he was talking about Canara Bank here. You can connect with them and they have provisions available for taking care in an unfortunate event.
Okay. Okay, well, okay. Thank you, sir. So I'll contact them.
Hello, Mr. Krishna here. I will request you to unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Yeah, hi. So, from the presentation, what I could make out it, there is a requirement for a will and there's a requirement for a trust. I just wanted a little more clarification. To me, it appeared that both are necessary and, you can't do without just having only a will or just only a trust. Could you please just explain a little bit about that?
Okay. I feel in my practice, trust is a necessity for various reasons, because you cannot leave all the estate set aside for a special needs person to any other family member. Okay. They may not be able to manage, their mind could be corrupted, but that member also may die before the death of the special needs person. So there is a need for an entity which lives as long as the special needs person is alive. The trust is one thing which can go along. So trust is required. So the next question comes whether the will is required or not. It all depends upon the decision taken by the parents, whether they would like to hold the assets during their lifetime and then transfer for the benefit of the child only after their life. In such case, will is required.
Okay.
Okay. During my lifetime, I don't mind losing control over this asset. Let it be managed by the trustees. Okay. Right now, you transfer, then will is not required.
But there are some things like, life insurance, etc., which actually really it comes only on the death of the parent. For example, if I have a life insurance.
Okay.
So if I want to transfer the life insurance proceeds, then in that case.
So if you're talking about financial assets, there is other alternative ways also to transfer the money in the name of the trust if it's already created during the lifetime of the person. Okay. For example, we can make assignment on a life insurance policy.
Okay, like a nominee. Okay.
Nomination is different from assignment, which is applicable only to life insurance policy.
Right.
So what is assignment is nothing but transfer of rights, title and benefits on the policy to another person. Okay, this can be done only on insurance policy, not on a bank deposits or any other financial assets.
Okay,
when you make an assignment, okay, so after your life or whatever proceeds payable under the policy will be payable to a person to whom it is assigned.
Right.
Suppose a trust is created today and you have a life insurance policy, judiciously have taken because we advise you to have a life insurance policy, let us say 1 CR, and if a death happens and assignment is made in the favor of trust,
okay,
the proceeds are payable to the trust. Okay. Right? And many think that nomination is sufficient, but nomination does not give rights to the nominee under all the financial assets. Okay. When the nomination is made, nominee is only custodian on behalf of legal heirs.
Right.
So all the estate of the person will belong to the legal heirs, class 1 legal heirs. Again, it's a big subject.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So,
hello.
Back to your question whether will and trust both depends upon your plan of action.
Hello.
Hello, this is Swami here. I wanted to ask basically if there is any good or NGO or any other private organization in Bangalore especially who can guide us, including finance and the legal aspects of this one in one place or something like that, where we can get in more knowledge.
Website you said that will.
Where you wanted? Where you wanted?
Bangalore.
One stop.
Bangalore, he wants one stop for finance and
legal.
Yeah, if any good NGOs or any organization, if you can refer to us, then maybe we can just go to that place and also just check the informations.
Sir, it is an individual choice which you exercise. Like we will be sharing the website of the Financial Planning Association, or you can also contact with the speakers. It's up to you as to whom you want to choose and how you want to take it forward.
There's one last question which I think we'll take and which we'll end, which a few people have asked. What happens to the trust money if the person whom the trust is meant to benefit dies?
Very good. So now next question comes, what will happen to the trust, how long it continues? Again, when we draft the trust deed, all these factors to be considered. So I'm coming to the specific case only. The purpose of creating a trust is to provide financial security for the special person. On the death of the special person, there is no need to continue the trust. And we make a provision in such a way that on the death of the person, the trust will get dissolved. And whatever estate is left with the trust or assets left with the trust, even that provision is to be made when we create a trust deed. You may perhaps say that whatever money is left will come back to the family members. You can identify the members of the family, or you may say that it goes for a charity to any other organization. That is, choice is yours what is to be done with any estate left on the death of the beneficiary. That also should be factored while creating the trust deed.
So we have two more queries. We are actually running short of time. So the last two questions.
I have a question on power of attorney, please.
Ma'am, we are running out of time.
Power of attorney. Hello. I have a question on power of attorney.
Quick question. More queries. We are
Yeah.
sorry.
I have a question on power of attorney. Can I ask?
She can communicate to us and we'll.
Yeah, I think that you can communicate with the speakers later on. Unfortunately, we are running out of time and we are forced to close the session. The last two queries for which people have been waiting for quite some time. One is, what is the upper age till which term insurance can be taken?
Most of the companies will offer up to age 60, 65, but today there is a competition in the market. There are certain companies, private companies, if you look at properly, offering up to age 75.
But 65 is enough.
60 to 65 is a normal upper age.
Okay. And what stage of the child should a caregiver initiate financial planning and estate planning? Is there
right now?
As early as possible.
As early as possible. Right now. Okay. Imagine about a power of compounding. The earlier you start, the better.
Right. I think with that we'll.
Tell about the next session.
Yeah. With that we'll close.